Welcome to Two Witness Teaching Program. Two Witness, a Bible teaching program to change and transform people. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Let's dive into it.
Chapter 13. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, Send thou men, that they may search the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Israel. Of every tribe of their fathers shall ye send a man, every one a ruler among them. So 12 spies are going to be sent out, and there's going to be one from every tribe. And we see the list of people. The ones we want to point out are in verse 6, Caleb, because he's going to be a good guy. And Joshua, he's not named that in verse 8, but that's who he is, that Oshia. I guess that's pretty close to his name. So, he was the man who didn't have a father because he was the son of none. Verse 17. And Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan, and said unto them, Get you up this way southward, and come up into the mountain. And they're going to observe and make an assessment, and come back and report what they find. And see the land, what it is, and the people that dwelleth there, whether they be strong or weak, few or many. That's not a problem. I want you to come back and tell me that. That's good. And what the land is that they dwell in, whether it's good or it's bad, and what cities they be that they dwell in, whether in tents or in strongholds, and what the land is, whether it be fat or lean, whether there be wood therein or not. That's why I'm sending you. I want to hear a report. Now, this is one thing that struck me when I was studying this. Moses then said, But be ye of good courage. Okay, I want you to go and tell me what's out there, but don't be discouraged, whatever you see. Be of good courage, and bring of the fruit of the land. Now the time was the time of the first ripe grapes. So they went up, and they searched the land from the wilderness of Zin unto RECOUP. Okay, and it tells the places that they went. It tells in verse 23, they gathered a cluster of grapes that was so big they had to carry it between two men upon a staff. All right, verse 25, and they returned from searching of the land 40 days. And they went and came to Moses and to Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Israel, unto the wilderness of Paran and Kadesh, and brought back word unto them and unto all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told them and said, We came unto the land whither thou sentest us, and surely it floweth with milk and honey. This is like what God said it would be. This is great. And this is the fruit thereof. They showed what they brought back out of the land. Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell there, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there. And the Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, and the Hittites, and the Jebusites, and the Amorites dwell in the mountains, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea, and by the coast of Jordan. And Caleb stilled the people, because they're like, oh my, all these people and these cities, and they're strong, and people are starting to murmur. Caleb stilled them. He says, Let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. So here's the good guy. Here's one of the spies that he was of good courage. He came back and said, Look what all we get to have. This is awesome. Don't worry about those folks that are there. God's on our side. But the men that went up with him said, We be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. The others were in unbelief. Caleb was in faith. Sure, we can take this. But the others brought up an evil report. And it wasn't that they told what they saw. The land, though, through which we have gone to search it, is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof. And all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants. And we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight, so they supposed. So that was their impression, our assessment are we're nothing. We're nobodies. We can't take this. They didn't consider that God was on their side, that God would give it to them as he'd promised. They said, we can't do it. And that's why it was an evil report.
Well, let me ask you this. If God had already promised them the land, he's taking them to this land, why would he instruct them to send in spies to spy out the land? Because usually a spy would go in to find out something that's unknown, and then they can make a plan as to what they would do next. Well, our very wise brother up here in the front has it right to test their faith. Are they going to be enticed by what they see? Are they going to be discouraged by what they see? It's to test them. They went up and they did truly see that it was everything that God had promised. Now, how long had this promise been standing? 2,000 years, all the way back to Genesis. A very long time. What did God promise? Who did he name by name that he would drive out, even back in the book of Genesis? The Hittites, the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Canaanites. They've had this promise handed down to them generation after generation that these people would be driven out and they would possess the land. So they go there, they see the land is good, they know God promises to drive them out, and instead they lack the courage to obey God and go in and do it. Well, let's see what happens. Chapter 14. Seems like almost every chapter is filled with some kind of murmuring followed by some kind of judgment. And and all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron. So it says all, but we know there were at least two, right? Joshua and Caleb, that were not murmuring. And the whole congregation said unto them, this is probably getting old in Moses' ears, would God that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would God that we had died in this wilderness? Have you ever heard, be careful what you ask for because you might get it? Oh, we'd rather die in this wilderness than go in. Wherefore hath the Lord brought us into this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be a prey or victims? Were it not better for us to return to Egypt? And they said one to another, let us make a captain, and let us return to Egypt. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the children of Israel. And Joshua the son of Nun, and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, which were of them that searched the land, rent their clothes as a sign of mourning. And they spake unto all the company of the children of Israel, saying, the land which we passed through to search it is an exceeding good land. Here's a powerful moral government verse. If the Lord delight in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which floweth with milk and honey. Only rebel not ye against the Lord, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defense is departed from them, and the Lord is with us. Fear them not. But all the congregation bade stone them with stones. And God said, enough is enough. The glory of the Lord appeared in the tabernacle of the congregation before all the children of Israel. I love to just picture this and watch it play out in my mind as I'm reading. It's very intense. And the Lord said unto Moses, how long will this people provoke me? How long will it be before they believe me, for all the signs which I have showed among them? I will smite them with pestilence and disinherit them, and I will make of thee, Moses, a greater nation and mightier than they. And Moses said unto the Lord, then the Egyptians shall hear it, for thou broughtest up this people in thy might from among them. And they will tell it to the inhabitants of this land, for they have heard that thou, Lord, art among this people, that thou, Lord, art seen face to face, and that thy cloud standeth over them, and that thou goest before them by daytime in a pillar of a cloud, and in a pillar of fire by night. So Moses is reasoning with God. Now if thou shalt kill all this people as one man, then the nations which have heard the fame of thee will speak, saying, Because the Lord was not able to bring this people into the land which he sware unto them, therefore he has slain them in the wilderness. And now I beseech thee, let the power of my Lord be great, according as thou hast spoken, saying, The Lord is long-suffering and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. So he says, I know you're merciful, but I know you also have to punish sin. Pardon, I beseech thee, the iniquity of this people, according to the greatness of thy mercy, and as thou hast forgiven this people from Egypt until now. So a powerful, moving speech, which actually does move the heart of God. The Lord said, I have pardoned according to thy word. So he's not going to kill them all, but can the sin go unjudged? No, it cannot. God continues, verse 21, But as truly as I live, all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord. Because all those men which have seen my glory, they've seen my miracles which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness. They've tempted me now these 10 times. They've not hearkened unto my voice. Surely they shall not see the land which I swear to their fathers, neither shall any of them that provoked me see it. So the penalty was this curse of death that they would have in the wilderness. God didn't destroy them immediately. He also did not prolong their lives to give them the reward of entering into the promised land, but he did promise that they would all die in the wilderness. Verse 24, But my servant Caleb, because he hath another spirit with him, and hath followed me fully, him will I bring into the land wherein he went, and his seed shall possess it. Now the Amalekites and the Canaanites dwelt in the valley. Tomorrow turn you and get you into the wilderness by way of the Red Sea. And this was the opposite way. It was a little like opposite of where the enemy was. Any comments so far?
Very good.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, How long shall I bear with this evil congregation which murmur against me? I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel which they murmur against me. Say unto them, As truly as I live, saith the Lord, as ye have spoken in mine ears, so will I do to you. Your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness, and all that were numbered of you, according to your whole number, from 20 years old and upward, which have murmured against me. Remember when they numbered the men back in chapter 1, 603,550 men. Every one of those men, doubtless ye shall not come into the land, concerning which I swear to make you dwell therein, except Caleb and Joshua. But your little ones, which you said should be a prey, them will I bring in, and they shall know the land which you have despised. So back in verse 3, when they said, the Lord will bring us into a land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be a prey. Well, he says, your children won't be a prey. Your children will be blessed, and they will inherit the land that you despised. 32, but as for you, your carcasses, they shall fall in the wilderness. So what did they say? Would God that we had died in the wilderness. God says, you got it. You got it. You'll die in the wilderness. And your children shall wander in the wilderness 40 years, and bear your whoredoms, until your carcasses be wasted in the wilderness. And here's the proclamation, verse 34. After the number of days in which ye search the land, even 40 days, each day for a year shall ye bear your iniquities, even 40 years, and ye shall know my breach of promise. It's not that God didn't keep his promise, because he will take his nation into the land that he promised. But these 40 years now, for the 40 days of spying out the land, they're going to wander. And we also think of 40 years as being a generation. So symbolically, when this generation dies, it will be the next generation that will go in. 35. I, the Lord, have said, I will surely do it. unto all this evil congregation that are gathered together against me. In this wilderness they shall be consumed, and there they shall die. So those men and women who sinned will die, they will be judged, but at least the entire nation is not wiped out, but the younger ones, the innocent ones, are spared. And the men which Moses sent to search the land, who returned, and made all the congregation to murmur against him by bringing up a slander upon the land, even those 10 men that did bring up the evil report upon the land died by the plague before the Lord. But Joshua and Caleb, which were of the men that went to search the land, lived still. And Moses told these sayings unto all the children of Israel, and the people mourned greatly. Now, maybe they truly were repentant, I don't know. Maybe they were feeling sorry for themselves, and they thought, oh, maybe there's still a chance we can make up for this. Maybe God will change his mind. They changed their mind about how they would act towards God, but it was too late. Verse 40, they rose up early in the morning. They got them up into the top of the mountain and saying, Lo, let's go. We'll go to the place which the Lord hath promised, for we have sinned. Now, have you ever had this with your children, perhaps, when your children do something that you don't approve of, and they know that judgment is coming, and they say, wait a minute, I'll go do it. I promise I'll do it. Well, that's right. You're going to do it, but there's also going to be some judgment because you chose not to do it in the first place. So now they say, okay, we'll go, let's go. Moses said, verse 41, Wherefore now do you transgress the commandment of the Lord? But it shall not prosper. Go not up, for the Lord is not among you, that ye be not smitten before your enemies. For the Amalekites and the Canaanites are there before you, and you shall fall by the sword, because you are turned away from the Lord. Therefore the Lord will not be with you. But they presumed to go up into the hilltop. Nevertheless, the ark of the covenant of the Lord and Moses departed not out of the camp. So just as I said before, they would take the ark before them into battle, signifying the presence of the Lord going before them. The ark didn't go. God was not with them. They went up presumptuously, trying to prove to God that they've had a changed heart. What happens? Verse 45, Then the Amalekites came down, and the Canaanites which dwelt in that hill, and smote them, and discomfited them, even unto Hormah. So it was just too late to escape God's judgment.
That's right. It's pretty crazy. They won't go when he says to go. He says, forget it, you're not going now, and they go. What is wrong with these people? But they just don't have a heart to serve God, to obey God. And they're going to perish in the 40 years in the wilderness. If this looks familiar, we went through something similar in Exodus 32 when Moses interceded at the golden calf incident, if you want to write that in. The same thing pretty much happens. God says, I'll wipe them out, I'll start all over with you, and Moses intercedes and gets God to change his mind. And God truly changes his mind. This is another fantastic passage. There's no other way to describe it. And verse 20, I really, really like. God says, I have pardoned according to thy word. Moses, because you've interceded and I'm considering you, I'll change what I'm planning. The judgment I have planned, I'll do something else. So that was real. That's not some trick by God. That was a real statement. The Lord said, I have pardoned according to thy word. You've influenced me to change what is going to happen. And verse 34, I also like that verse, in that we see God said, you shall know my breach of promise. So the promise was conditional. Amen. And because they didn't do what they were supposed to do, God said, I'm not going to do what I said I'd do if you did it. Okay, it's kind of complex, but I used an example in when we were in Uganda. I with the host pastor there, he had some bottled water, and I had some money, and I said, okay, let's make a deal. I'll come to you, and I'll give you $1, I don't know what it was, a shilling, I guess, some shillings. And as we had this arrangement, right? I'll give you shillings, you give me a water, right? So I give him some shillings, he gives me water. So I come back and I give him some more shillings. The next day I come, I like water, you give you some shillings, you give me a water. Next day I come and I said, give me a water. And you say, well, where's my shillings? I said, forget about that, just give me my water. And I said, no, I'm not giving you water. You're not holding up your end of the deal here. Well, you can't just come here and demand water from me. Our deal was, you give me shillings, I'll give you water. And so if this man says, no more water, who's going to accuse that man that he did something wrong? No, you should give him water. And no one, the whole church said, well, no, that's not right. He shouldn't have to give you water. You're not doing what you said you'd do. And this is exactly the situation God finds himself in. The people are not doing what they're supposed to do. So he said, I'm not following through. You don't have this unconditional security that whatever you do, I just pour out blessings upon you. That's a lie from the pit. So I made it conditional. I said, if you'd serve me, I'll bless you. We read we haven't read it yet, Deuteronomy 28. But always the promise was given on condition. And he said, you broke it. So I'm not doing what I said I'd do. And he's going to do this over and over again. And to not see this is to just close your eyes and plug your ears and say, I don't want to see this. But it's happening. And it's the truth of what God's doing in response to the people. Do you want to say something more?
Before he starts chapter 15, I just want to give you an idea of what's going to happen. 15 through 19, just 5 chapters, covers 40 years in the wilderness. So we don't have a lot of details. It's about 38 or 39 years. We don't have a lot of details about that time, just 5 chapters. So after that, they're coming to the time when they're approaching this place, this land where they would cross the Jordan River, and there's a lot of instructions about who's going to go to war, how they're going to do it, and there's some more instructions and laws. But as we cover these next 5 chapters, I just want you to know that's it. That's the 40 years.
Chapter 15, and we'll go through this pretty quickly. The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye come into the land of your habitation, which I'll give you, then make the following offerings. And we don't need to read through all these, but this was the offering they were to make once they're entered into the promised land. And one statement I want to point out, we've read before in verse 16, One law and one manner shall be for you and for the stranger that sojourneth with you. So we have equality in the law and justice, no respect of persons. All right, we have some more on offerings. Well, let's go on to, I think, verse 24. We're going to talk about sins of ignorance again. And the first few verses here deal with sins of ignorance that address all the people. All the people have not done what they were supposed to do, but they did it ignorantly, and God gives them the remedy for it. Here we have an offering, and he said, if you make this offering, once you realize it, the thing is, once you realize it, then you have to say, I'm sorry, Lord, I didn't know that's what you wanted of me. That's what he's looking for. He's not looking to rub you out. He wants you to acknowledge that you've learned something, and, I want to please you, Lord. I'm sorry that I didn't understand. That wasn't pleasing you. So you make this offering, and it shall be forgiven you. In verse 25, for it is ignorance. Very different than willful. God made a big distinction between what is done willfully against him and what's done out of ignorance. God is very merciful towards ignorance. He's wanting you to learn. And so when you learn it, and you say, I'm sorry, Lord, I want to do what's right, then he forgives it. Now, verse 27 is sins of ignorance by an individual, and there's a different kind of offering here. But when the person makes the offering, acknowledges that they weren't doing what God wanted, but they were ignorant about it, then it shall be forgiven him. Verse 30 we see the contrast of willful sin. Someone who knows the good they were supposed to do and they don't care. They're going to do what they want to anyway. That's acting presumptuously. And whether it's, verse 30, and a stranger or anyone or one among you, that soul shall be cut off from the people, because he hath despised the word of the Lord, he hath broken his commandment, that soul shall utterly be cut off. His iniquity shall be upon him. And there were certain laws that were given that carried the death penalty. And Moses was to enforce those things. If you broke the law in these ways, and you did it with full knowledge of what you're doing, they would put you to death. God required it. And here we're going to have an example in verse 32. While the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day. And they that found him gathering sticks brought him unto Moses and Aaron and unto all the congregation. And they put him in ward, they locked him up, because it was not declared what should be done with him yet. It wasn't, the elders didn't tell them what should happen to him yet. They were judging. And the Lord said unto Moses, the man shall surely be put to death, and all the congregation shall stone him with stones without the camp. And all the congregation brought him without the camp, and stoned him with stones, and he died, as the Lord commanded Moses. So this had to be willful, presumptuous sin. The man had to know he wasn't supposed to be doing it. He didn't care. He said, I'll pick up sticks any day I want. And that's what happens. Verse 37, the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations, and that they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue, and it shall be unto you for a fringe, that you may look upon it, and remember all the commandments of the Lord, and do them, and that ye seek not after your own heart to do whatever you want, and if your own eyes, after which you used to go a-whoring, but you remember, oh, that's right, God wants me to do certain things, and this on their garment will be help them to remember. That you may remember and do all my commandments, and be holy unto your Lord. I am the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, to be your God. I am the Lord your God. Asserting his position that he should have. You should be following me, obeying me, keeping my commandments.
We want to spend the remainder of our time on chapter 16. It's very important to this wandering in the wilderness of this 39 years that's taking place here. It's one of the few events that's actually recorded, and I believe it's very key. When we finished back in 14, where the spies had gone into the promised land, and they came back, and Joshua and Caleb said, let us go in and possess it. They were only, apparently, I've read, 11 days' journey from the promised land. So in less than 2 weeks, they could have been there. They could have gone in, they could have taken it. So this is, if you have maps in the back of your Bible, invariably you'll have one that says, the children of Israel wandering in the wilderness. And you can see they're just going in a big circle because God's working with them. He's moving them. He's taking places. He's testing them. And he's waiting. He's waiting for those to die in the wilderness that were judged. So this is a key event that happens sometime during that time. It's not dated. Usually this is called Korah's rebellion. Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi. So it's important to know that Korah was a Levite. He was a priest. And Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, the sons of Reuben, took men. So we've got a Levite and 2 Reubenites. They gathered some men around them. They rose up before Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown. And they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron and said unto them. Now in this chapter we're going to find 3 accusations, and they're going to be followed by 3 extreme judgments. So accusation number 1 is Korah and these 250 men say to Moses and Aaron, "You take too much upon you, seeing all the congregation are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Wherefore then lift ye up yourselves above the congregation of the Lord." So the root of this sin is pride. He's a Levite. He's already been consecrated and set apart to do the service of the Lord. He's saying, we're holy, all the congregation's holy. Who do you think you are to take all of this upon you that we should follow you? You're no better than we are. When Moses heard it, he fell upon his face. And he spake unto Korah and unto all his company, saying, Even tomorrow the Lord will show who are his and who is holy. Just because a man walks up and says, everybody here is holy, we're all on the same level, who do you think you are? Moses says, the Lord's going to show who's holy. And will cause him to come near unto him. Even him whom he hath chosen will he cause to come near unto him. This do. Take your censers, Korah and all his company. Remember, the censer was the metal perforated ball that they would burn the incense in. Take your censers, put fire therein, and put incense in them before the Lord tomorrow. And it shall be that the man whom the Lord doth choose, he shall be holy. Now he's going to repeat Korah's accusation back to him. You take too much upon you, ye sons of Levi. That should have been a little foreboding right there. So tomorrow, picture it, 250 men with Korah are going to appear with incense, and Aaron as well. Moses said unto Korah, Hear, I pray you, ye sons of Levi. Seemeth it but a small thing unto you, that the God of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel, to bring you near to himself, to do the service of the tabernacle of the Lord, and to stand before the congregation to minister unto them? And he hath brought thee near to him, and all thy brethren, the sons of Levi, with thee. And seek ye the priesthood also? There's only one high priest, that was Aaron. And here we've got someone who's already doing the service of the Lord. There's only one place to go, and that would be the top position. For which cause both thou and all thy company are gathered together against the Lord. And what is Aaron, that ye murmur against him? So they've already murmured against Moses, and now they're also murmuring against Aaron.
I think this is interesting in that as showing someone who's not content to have a place and to serve God, I got to be number one. I got to be on top. I got to be Aaron. I got to be Moses. I have a place. I have a good place. God's given me a job to do, and I could do it. And it was a wonderful thing that they had that they could do.
They didn't have to go to war. They had all their food provided for them every day. I mean, not to mention all that God had for them.
That's right, but they despised their leadership, and this is something to watch out for. People who despise leadership, there is leadership in the body, and who are they? They're the meek and the humble that God's using. And they're still here today, the meek and the humble that God's using and has them in a place, and you despise their leadership, and you try to wrestle that away from them. Watch out. God will rise up. And God will do the same thing against those that come against them, just like he did with Moses. So we don't want to despise leadership. There is leadership in the church body today. There are elders. There are pastors. There are those that we should look to and we should listen to and let God work through them and let them do the things that God has placed on their heart, and not think we got to be the top man. We got to take it away, or we're just not happy. And that's a terrible thing, and God's showing what people that despise leadership and they have to be top dog, what's going to happen to them.
Now, New Testament says the Old Testament stories were written as examples for us. So this is still very applicable to us today. Now, think about when Aaron and Miriam murmured against Moses. And I'm sure everyone knew, I'm sure that story spread of how God came directly down and confronted it and cursed Miriam with leprosy and what happened. But to them, I guess it's worth, just think of the pride that has to be so rooted within them to want to even tempt God in this way. Okay, so we saw the first accusation go out there against Moses. Now, verse 12. Moses sent to call Dathan and Abiram. These were the other two men, the Reubenites, that were mentioned in verse 1. So Moses has already dealt with Korah and his 250 followers. Come tomorrow with censers and fire and incense. We'll deal with it then. So Moses calls out Dathan and Abiram, and they said, "We will not come." Now we see the second accusation. What are Dathan and Abiram going to say? Is it a small thing that you have brought us up out of a land that flows with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness, except that you make yourself altogether a prince over us? They've got a major grudge against him. They must have very short memories because they continue to speak of Egypt as if it was the most wonderful thing ever, and they don't remember that they were in Egypt crying out to God to be delivered from it. So they call Egypt the land of milk and honey. You brought us out of that just so you can lord it over us in the wilderness. Moreover, verse 14, you have not brought us into a land that flows with milk and honey, or given us inheritance of fields and vineyards. Wilt thou put out the eyes of these men? You going to blind everyone so they can't see that they're not in a land of milk and honey? We will not come. So they won't even answer to the accusations they made. They stayed in the camp. Moses was very wroth and said unto the Lord, Respect not thou their offering. I have not taken one ass from them, neither have I hurt one of them. And God knows that. Moses said unto Korah, Be thou and all thy company before the Lord, thou and they and Aaron, tomorrow. And take every man his censer, and put incense in them, and bring ye before the Lord every man his censer, 250 censers. Thou also, Korah, and Aaron, each of you his censer. And they took every man his censer, and put fire in them, and laid incense thereon, and stood in the door of the tabernacle of the congregation with Moses and Aaron. And Korah gathered all the congregation against them unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the glory of the Lord appeared unto all the congregation. And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, this is one of our moral government passages, Separate yourselves from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment. Here it is again. God is ready to wipe them all out. Does he have a legal and moral right to do it? He sure does. And they fell on their faces and said, O God, the God of the spirits of all flesh, shall one man sin, and wilt thou be wroth with all the congregation? Well, that might lead you to believe that Korah was the only one in sin, but we just read they all joined themselves together with him, so they were not guiltless. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak to the congregation, saying, Get you up, or get away from about the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And Moses rose up and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. And he spake unto the congregation, saying, Depart, I pray you, from the tents of these wicked men, and touch nothing of theirs, lest ye be consumed in all their sins. So they're out in the camp. It would be the camp of the Reubenites, because they were from the house of Reuben. And he's telling everyone, move away from them. You know, we have this joke where if someone says something really blasphemous, you step away. Because when the fire comes down from heaven, or we say the lightning strikes, you don't want to be in the way. This must be where this comes from when, God is sending fire from heaven. Okay, get away. 27. So they got up from the tabernacle, or the homes of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram on every side. And Dathan and Abiram came out. They stood in the door of their tents, and their wives and their sons and their little children. And Moses said, Hereby shall ye know that the Lord hath sent me to do all these works. What were they accusing him of? Who do you think you are? We're as good as you. We're holy. All the people are holy. You're taking too much obligation to run this camp all by yourself. Well, Moses says, hereby you'll know the Lord has sent me to do these works. I have not done them of my own mind. God is going to prove to the people his calling on the life of Moses. Here it is, 29. If these men die the common death of all men, if they just grow old and die, or if they be visited after the visitation of all men, then the Lord hath not sent me. But if the Lord make a new thing, and the earth open her mouth and swallow them up, with all that appertain unto them, and they go down quick into the pit, then ye shall understand that these men have provoked the Lord. That would send me running right there. I don't know about you. So here's the test. It came to pass, as he had made an end of speaking all these words, that the ground clave asunder that was under them. So we see the first judgment in our chapter. The earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up, and their houses and all the men that appertained unto Korah and their goods. They and all that appertained to them went down alive into the pit, and the earth closed upon them, and they perished from among the congregation. And all Israel that were round about them fled at the cry of them, for they said, lest the earth swallow us up also. So pride, grudges, murmuring, complaining is judged, just as we've seen throughout the entire wandering. Any comment on that before I go on? Verse 35, judgment number 2. There came out a fire from the Lord and consumed the 250 men that offered incense. So it's referring back now to the first rebellion. We had 250 men, we had Korah, and we had Aaron with censers. Okay, Korah went down with the 2 men. The other 250 men were just consumed by fire from heaven. Who's left? Aaron. So we see this was kind of what I call part 1 of God proving to the people Aaron's calling. And we're going to see in the next chapter that God is going to further make a display before the people that truly it is Aaron who I've called to do this. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, that he take up the censers out of the burning, and scatter thou the fire yonder, for they are hallowed. So he had to go through the burning mess of 250 priests that were just struck down with fire from heaven. He had to pick out the 250 censers from this burning mess, and he had to take that take the fire, take the incense out of it, and scatter it into the wind, because it was hallowed. Nobody was to touch it. Nobody was to use it. Verse 38, this is what they did with the censers. The censers of these sinners against their own souls, let them make broad plates for a covering of the altar, for they offered them before the Lord. Therefore they are hallowed, and they shall be a sign unto the children of Israel. So just as the fire or the incense was hallowed, so were the censers themselves. It was part of the vessels or the pieces, things that were used in the service of the tabernacle that were consecrated to the Lord. So the censers themselves were taken out. They were made into plates that they used to put on the altar. 39, Eleazar the priest took the brazen censers, wherewith they that were burnt had offered, and they were made broad plates for a covering of the altar, to be a memorial unto the children of Israel, that no stranger which is not of the seed of Aaron come near to offer incense before the Lord, that he be not as Korah, and as his company, as the Lord said to him by the hand of Moses. So I was thinking back to Leviticus 10, when the 2 sons of Aaron had offered strange fire in their censers before the Lord. What happened to them? Fire came down from heaven and consumed them. Here we've got 251 men again offering fire, incense, and their censers before the Lord, but doing it out of a proud, rebellious heart. Fire comes down from heaven and consumes them. What did we read throughout all the laws that were given in Exodus and Leviticus? Why did we have to do it this way and this way? That they die not. So God's not kidding. When he gives this law, he's going to uphold it. And if you break his law, you'll be judged. So we've had those 2 accusations. We've had 2 judgments. That's over for now. Verse 41, we've got our 3rd accusation. But on the morrow, the next day, all the congregation of the children of Israel, who have very short memories, murmured against Moses and Aaron, saying, "You have killed the people of the Lord." You just gotta wonder. So they saw the rebellion. They saw the instant judgment. They saw that God in his mercy even spared them from being completely consumed, first of all. The second act of mercy was he asked them to at least step away from the tent before he opened up the ground to swallow them up. So twice in one day, God spared them, even though they deserved to be judged along with those other men. But the next day, they're murmuring, blaming Moses and Aaron for killing God's people, the priests and the others. 42, it came to pass when the congregation was gathered against Moses and against Aaron, that they looked toward the tabernacle of the congregation, and behold, the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord appeared. And Moses and Aaron came before the tabernacle of the congregation. And it's just so sad that Moses has to continually defend his position before the people, when we also see, if it were up to him, he wouldn't be in that position. He says, "Lord, this is too much for me to bear," or "Lord, the people aren't listening," or "Lord, the people aren't obeying." I don't think Moses was there, but even from the very beginning when God called him out of the burning bush, he says, "Who am I that should do this?" And he still continues to show that humility. And so, as Brian has said, I think a couple times now, is that God will defend the meek. God will defend the humble when the enemy comes against them. And we see Moses' heart also, because he continues to plead for God's mercy for the people, even though they deserve judgment. 44, the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, "Get you up from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment." That's the 3rd time we've read that, just in this chapter, or the last 2 chapters. And they fell upon their faces. Now here's something's happening that we haven't been told about yet, because we're going to see an action being taken, and we're going to find out afterwards what happened. Moses said unto Aaron, "Take a censer, and put fire therein from off the altar, and put on incense, and go quickly into the congregation, and make an atonement for them. For there is wrath gone out from among the Lord, the plague is begun." So we see judgment number 3 against the 3rd accusation. Aaron took as Moses commanded, and ran into the midst of the congregation, and behold, the plague was begun among the people. And he put on incense, and made an atonement for the people. And he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stayed. Now I find it interesting that Aaron was not instructed to go get a bull or a lamb and sacrifice it and shed blood for the atonement of the people. He was told to get his censer, put fire in it, and burn incense to make an atonement for the people. And when Aaron went out into the congregation with the incense, the plague was stayed. And I just believe this was God reaffirming his call on Aaron. He will take the incense. He will burn it the proper way. He will do it in the way I have prescribed. And because he is the one that I have put my calling upon, I will respect this offering, and it will be an atonement for you. So I believe this is the closure to showing who it is of those 250 men, plus Korah and plus Aaron, that were all to come together with their censers, with fire and incense, and God was going to prove to the people who it was that he will choose. And it is Aaron with his fire, his incense, in his censer, making the atonement that spared the remainder of the congregation. Verse 49, they that died in the plague were 14,700, beside them that died about the matter of Korah. And Aaron returned unto Moses unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the plague was stayed. Do you have anything?
Just a question for you. You said there were three, what'd you call it? Three accusations. I marked the first one and the third one. What's the second one?
Okay, Korah accuses Moses, you take too much upon you, verse 3.
Mm-hmm.
We're all holy, what are you doing? Okay, verse 12, verse 13. Dathan and Abiram accuse Moses of bringing them out of the land to kill them in the wilderness. The only reason you're not killing us is because you want to make yourself a prince over us.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to put out our eyes so we can't see that you're not doing what you've said. And verse 41, the children of Israel came to Moses and Aaron and accused them of killing the people of the Lord. And so for those three accusations, we see three judgments. And in God's mercy, once again, he spared the people that deserve to die, and they deserve to be judged along with these 14,700 plus the 250 plus the three men. So God is merciful even if judgment is required. Powerful chapter.